Okay, so this is a different format. I kind of like this. I'm not gonna lie. I really do. I'm just noticing this right now. I'm recording from my kitchen. I do a lot of cooking in here. But let's get straight to the fucking point. I'm seeing videos by Bolo and Ultra West, okay, on the debate. How this is even a fucking debate is beyond me. Okay, but nonetheless, here we are living in this fucked up world. I'm sorry to say it. I am. But it needs to be said. We live in a really fucked up world right now, and it's pissing me off to no fucking degree whatsoever. I'm going to share my screen and I need to show you guys and blind react to this video. I've only seen a couple minutes of it and I'm like, this this is setting off a huge storm for me. So let's do this. I'm sharing my screen right now. Here we go. Okay. Side by side, potentially. Actually, let's do content only. I'm gonna hide my face here. Okay, so Bolo's hot takes. Hardware versus software. I made a video not not too long ago about how there's zero debate between hardware and software. Let's really talk about this because this is, for me personally, this is getting way the fuck out of hand. Way out of hand.
Here we go again.
Yes, here we go again.
Versus, we talk about this all the time, but I'm looking at this in a totally different angle. Okay?
Let's hear it.
Because I'm looking at it in the angle of ownership versus convenience. And we all.
Let me pause right there. Ownership versus convenience. Let me think. What about continuity and permanence? What about immediacy? Let's keep going. But he left those very key words there. Very key.
Especially with the way plugins are being developed right now, they're doing an excellent job with the new algorithms and everything.
Maybe so.
AI is now involved. A lot of these plugins, even from just novice people who are making plugins, they're making some very good stuff. Okay? But we got to think about it. We have to think about the way plugins are, and we have to think about the way hardware is, right? I just had a conversation about, workstations on my main channel, which you can check that out. And I talk about how, workstations are not necessarily needed.
Let me stop him right there. The current form of workstations that have barely developed in the last 20 fucking years, that includes Kronos and Nautilus, which have existed for the last 15 years that nobody's been able to compete with, at least in terms of the synth engines. I'm going to say it. He's got a point. He's got a point. Those workstations are not needed because they're so outdated compared to what's available today on the computer. I'll give you guys that. Yes. But this is where my frustration and my anger lies in this fucking industry. With processors being so powerful and computers being so powerful as they are, why don't we have more embedded systems? Why? Why is the MPC and the DAW the only fucking thing available for any sort of DAW level capability. The problem is not expense. The problem is whether it exists or not. That's the problem. Let me just say that. Let's continue. This is going to piss me the fuck off. I'm not even kidding.
With all the newest technology and with how a lot of these VSPs are founded, however, you never really quite own the software. You never
Isn't
really
that the point?
own those VSPs. They get licensed to you,
Yeah.
but you never really own them. We've known some companies that have folded the way you had some really good VSPs in the past that are not here anymore. Like, I don't know if you guys remember like a VSP company called Nomad. Y'all remember them? There was another wave. I forgot. They weren't like the waves that we know right now, but they were like another wave plug-in manufacturer. They're gone. And a few other companies that were out back then, they're not here anymore, and those plugins do not work on these newer systems and stuff like that. However, if you bought a Motif ES rack back in 2004, 2005, or a Motif or a Triton or MPC 3000 or MPC 60, and you own that, you plug it up, and as long as it's in good condition, it still works. It still works the same way it did back then.
Yep.
So, right now, with a lot of the plugins and stuff right now, and the VST instruments, these things sound very good. They sound excellent. And then with a little bit of a, sprinkle here and with a few other plugins, you can really get these things to sound very much analog, as I say, right? However, you never really fully own them. And if the company goes away, then what you paid for is now gone.
Gone? More like vaporware. This is the argument I've been making ever since I started this channel. This is the argument I've been making. The hardware you buy, you fucking own from day one. There are no updates. There are no drivers. There's nothing in your fucking way. Why do you think I'm still using a Triton from 20 fucking years ago? Why do you think I'm so fucking determined to get my two Oasis keyboards fixed? Both of them, 88 keys, massive 10-inch screen. Yeah, the sequencer is still from 1999. Okay, granted. But with the problems he just discussed, with the problems he laid out in software, what the fuck makes you think I'm willing to spend thousands of dollars of money that I'm never going to see again in my life to own a piece of hardware on a fucking computer that's pretending to be a musical instrument, and it's anything but that? Let me say it louder for those in the back if I'm not making myself any fucking clearer. Not everybody wants to use a fucking computer to make music on. This is why. This is why. This is what pisses me off more than anything else. With software and hardware being so powerful as it is today, where the fuck is the hardware to support it besides a fucking computer? Do you know how many posts I'm seeing on Reddit every fucking day on people wanting to get away from the computer? They're in the office all fucking day long at work. The last fucking thing they want to do is use a fucking computer. A computer. It's not a musical instrument. It is a computer that does a million other fucking things. Can we please learn the fucking difference between a real musical instrument, a fucking keyboard, or a module that connects into a keyboard, and vice versa, and a fucking computer? Can we learn the fucking difference, please? Some of us actually like to sit down and play our fucking instruments instead of staring at some convoluted clusterfuck of a system on a fucking screen that I don't know which is which. Do you have any idea how much difficulty some people have in using software on a fucking computer? It is the most convoluted thing I've ever experienced. How did software get this fucking difficult? Even in the 2000s, especially then. Cubase SX, Logic. It's a fucking miracle these software titles still exist. It really is. I guess we're kind of lucky that Apple bought out eMagic in the late 90s and Yamaha bought Steinberg. Oh, wait. What happened to Cakewalk? Didn't Roland buy Cakewalk? And then Gibson buy Cakewalk? And it all went to fucking dust? What happened to Sonar? Interesting enough, Sonar was a Windows only platform. Magix, remember them? Early 2000s, Windows only platform? Where are they? They're gone, aren't they? They're gone. You like Magic's Samplitude was a $3,000 piece of software that turned into fucking vaporware that is no longer available. I feel bad for you who spent $3,000. You could have bought a workstation keyboard and still had it to this day and sold it and made a fucking profit. $3,000 down the drain. That's a lot of fucking money. And if you've been into this financial situations I've been in, holy shit, that hits you like a ton of fucking bricks, doesn't it? For some people, $3,000 is pennies on the dollar. For somebody like me, that's life-changing money. I am not saying that lightly. Let's go on. This is unbelievable.
But they're convenient. They're convenient. They're cheap. You know, you can get a whole bunch for a little bit of nothing. Like right now, if you want to get you a ton of sounds, you can go to, like, say, for instance, Arteria. They have a whole bunch of sounds that you can use for producers. You can get the whole suite. And sometimes you can catch it on sale for like half off, like $200. You can get the whole suite of sounds, and you'll have basically every sound you need. However, you know, as operating systems update and everything, you have to stay updated with this stuff.
Yep.
And even though you don't necessarily have to pay for like upgrades, they do have different suites where they add more sounds to it. So you do have to pay for the upgrades for that. But if you buy a suite, whatever suite or version that you have, you can just keep that if you want to, if you don't want to upgrade. And once, you know, if they do any updates to that particular suite, you don't have to pay anything. But if you want to get more sounds and they might have like a newer suite number or whatever, then you'll have to, you know, pay for the updates for that. Okay, if you want to just upgrade to that next suite. But, you know, like I was saying before, if you already have it, you don't have to, you know, update it, you know, pay for the updates or whatever. But you never really own it. And that's my whole thing when I tell people, you can quit speakers, computer, everything. compressor inside of my that just so happens the lotion doesn't work or the Bolo still got a compressor right here. Vocals do, the being stuff, I can run stuff back through it. I still can do that because this compressor is a physical thing. It's tangible. I can touch it. I can feel it. I paid for it one time and I own it. And I will own it forever if it works or not. That's the great thing about it. These speakers, as long as they work, I own them. Computer, sometimes you got to upgrade your computer depending on how things are.
Yeah.
The same operating system, the same sounds, or whatever. Because they feel like, hey, this is good enough for me.
Yeah.
What you do? Upgrade because you just want to get the newest thing. But you don't have to do it because if it was good then, it's probably good now.
Mm-hmm.
15 years ago, still probably make hit records on
Yeah.
that same Pro Tools.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want. That's the good thing about having stuff is because you don't have to worry about, oh, we got to upgrade this thing. Oh, the operating system has changed. And now we have to go through and install new updates and all, stuff like that. Even though with a lot of, synthesizers or whatever, you did have to update certain things, but that was contained inside of that synthesizer. Okay, you did not have to update it if you didn't want. You could keep the same version on there if you want. Like I know my Motif EX record. Get any more updates to it, right? However, I have that latest update, and that latest update is more than enough for me right now. I don't have to update it anymore. It has all the sounds. It does everything it needs to do. And if I want to add more sounds to it, I can buy physical cards and put them inside my Motif ES rack, and I can have more sounds that I don't really need, but I can just have more sounds because everything is a physical thing.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to plugins, you can just download the sounds. Every year you can get new stuff, new combinations of sounds or whatever. Before, somehow they may get sold off or things
right there.
They can fold.
Right there. Right there. Right there. Right there.
This equipment and still use this equipment because it's physical. That's why I say yes, it's very convenient to own plugins. It's very convenient to have them and get them for cheap and have a whole bunch of plugins, have a variety of plugins, but you never really own them. So that's why I see a lot of people right now with this whole new wave of people coming up right now, a whole bunch of hardware, because there's a wave of people right now that really want to have ownership, true ownership, of their products. And some people saying, hey, yeah, I love plugins, they're very close, whatever, but they don't really sound the way I really want them to sound, and plus don't fully own them.
How is that even a debate between hardware and software? He's just proving my point with everything he's saying. He's proving my point with everything he's saying. I'm going to say it again. He's proving my point. You own whatever hardware you buy. It's hardware. You can plug it into the fucking wall. You've got physical knobs. You're never going to truly own whatever fucking plugins you buy for your computer. And worse yet, it's on a never ending, evolving, upgradable platform that gets obsolete. That is the problem. The updatable workstations, like when Yamaha with the original montage went from their first OS to a major update, and they added the pattern sequencer instead of the stupid fucking pointless performance recorder that was in it. That blew my fucking mind. It's like, why wasn't the pattern sequencer in the montage in the first fucking place? Because that's what made the motif so fucking spectacular. The sequencer, the multi-mode, all that good stuff. They fuck everything up. Take out the sequencer, whatever the motif had, and gave it a fucking performance recorder. God, did that piss me off to no degree. And it pissed me off because Yamaha didn't market it as, a performance-based synthesizer, which as a whole is exactly what the original montage was. It was a far cry from anything that truly made it a workstation other than some fucking performance recorder. But the firmware updates, if you want to call it that, or the software update on the montage that gave it the pattern sequencer, nice. Okay, now we're talking. Now there's something going on here. But he's making a lot of good points here. Like, and this is why hardware is so important. If you buy a plugin and the company goes under, I'm going to echo exactly what he said. It's fucking vaporware. You never know when a company's going to go out, when a company's going to completely change things. You never know when your computer is suddenly not going to be supported. Mac OS 27 is the first OS to drop all the Intel machines. Good luck trying to find logic now. Like, seriously, good luck trying to find logic. Logic for any previous OS anymore. Good luck. Unless you physically bought the copy, unless you actually bought the copy in the Apple Store and you have every version that's been downloaded from the App Store on your Mac under your iCloud account, good luck trying to find it. God forbid you need a cheap, usable laptop from 2018, 2019, even 2020, the last year that they made the Intel MacBook Pros. Good fucking luck. And forget about trying to find the plugins. They're all downloaded now. There's no physical, box software title that comes with physical media anymore. That started to dwindle after 2013. I will never forget that. Everything's downloadable. That's why everything's turning into fucking vaporware. And if the company goes under, so do the servers that contains the software. And it's as if it never existed to begin with. The website gets shut down, and all you see is remnants of what happened to them in the headlines on the web and, YouTube videos and all that. Good luck trying to get the software. Now, if somebody has a copy of the software and they can send it to you, it may work, but without the whatchamacallit, the product key or serial number or whatever that works with your specific system, it's never going to work because the servers no longer exist and there's no transfership of ownership available. This is why I don't want to deal with the fucking DAW on a fucking computer. This is why. You never know when something's going to go out. It's not worth the hassle for me. Not to mention, as I keep bringing it up, the convoluted clusterfuck of an interface of a DAW. Which brings me to my next point. How the fuck is that convenient? Yeah, it's convenient because it's cheap. You could spend $1,000, get 100 plugins on sale, get entire suites or whatever on sale online, download them during your DAW. Yeah, that's convenient. Downloading is always more convenient. But for somebody like me who has a really hard time using software, I have since day fucking one. From the day I bought Cubase SX, I was so fucking overwhelmed. And then I found out I needed ASIO drivers, I needed this, I needed that. I was using fucking Windows at the time, which I hated with the fucking passion. It was my first entry. How the fuck did I know Windows was going to be so fucking bad? I literally wanted to throw my computer out the fucking door and never deal with it again. But it was my only computer. It was my only connection to the internet. I couldn't just do that even if I fucking wanted to. Windows was the most infuriating operating system I'm glad those days are over. Oh, I am so glad those days are over. When I was finally able to afford a Mac and I switched over, I never went back. I can't anymore. And forget about Windows 10 or, good God, Windows 11. No, no thanks. That's why most serious producers and musicians are using a Mac because they're stable operating systems. But for fuck's sakes, this isn't 2005 anymore. This isn't the days of the G5. Back in the days of the G5, if I could afford a Mac, you bet your ass I would have had a G5 right now. And I would still have it to this day. You bet your ass I probably would have learned Logic back then to, you know, to extend what I have with my Triton or whatever. I absolutely would have, and I probably still would have had it today. But I couldn't afford it at the time. And given how difficult it was for me to learn the DAW, and I told you guys this story in a previous video, but I'll touch on it briefly here. Around 2016, 2017, actually 2017, I started using Logic on my laptop and I started making music very seriously. I didn't have my Oasis with me. I had one Oasis at the time and I had a couple other keyboards, a 61 key chord Trinity, which I lost in storage, right? And I didn't have my workstations with me. I had a digital piano and my laptop and an audio interface, which I think was an Icon. It was like one of these audio interfaces with a control surface, you know, and it was like a couple $100 or whatever that I got while I was in Paris. I lived in Paris, France for a couple of years. I got a small controller keyboard after putting away my digital piano because we were moving. For the first time ever in my life, I started to hate the gear that I had. My digital piano was just a fucking digital piano that with MIDI outputs that I could connect to the computer. I fucking hated it. I didn't have the immediacy of my Oasis or my Trinity. More so my Oasis, because that was the foundation of everything I did musically because of its sound and workstation capability. But I learned how to use Logic. I was forced to in a way I never really wanted to because I didn't have anything else. So I use it as a means of survival, musically speaking. And I hated every fucking second of it. Yes, I created an 18-minute masterpiece on it, which I still have. I've since lost the project file because, well, I lost the computer that contained the project file in storage. But it was an 18-minute masterpiece that I created. I might upload it one day just so you guys can hear what I did on it. The frustration of finding the sounds that I needed and the one bass sound that was closest to what I wanted. I literally had to go in there and take out all these weird fucking artifacts, you know, because there was like all these weird percussive synthetic sounds, and I just wanted a straight fucking bass line. It was easy enough for me to find the piano, which was the Steinway Grand in Logic, which I love. I actually combined that with the Yamaha Grand, and that sounded fantastic. But it was menu after menu after menu after menu going into software synthesizer after software synthesizer, plugin after plugin after plugin. I didn't know how to sidechain, use sidechains or whatever. So each track had to have its own. Each track had to have its own, you know, um, set of effects and plugins that I needed because I didn't know how to group the tracks into the plugins. It was too fucking difficult for me. I just wanted to create music. That's all I wanted to do. And I had to learn all this other shit. You don't have to do that on a fucking workstation. Those problems don't exist. You plug it in, you turn it on, it's right there in front of you. There's nothing to learn. Sure, the workflow you might have to learn because every manufacturer is different. If I bought a Montage or a Phantom today, yeah, I would have to learn the workflow of the instrument. But here's the difference. Learning the workflow of those instruments does not take a 4-year fucking degree to get good at it. You need a fucking degree just to learn the basics. How is that more convenient? On top of that, you need an audio interface. You need a fucking controller keyboard. Oh, great, controller keyboard. Better yet, if you have one with a bunch of knobs and some pads, okay, sure, it's a little more tactile. You're not using real synthesizers. That's the fucking point. The synth engines on my Oasis are real fucking synthesizers because they're embedded on a platform. The computer is completely fucking hidden. I hated every fucking second of using Logic, but I had to because I did not have anything else. For somebody like me who just wants to create music without all this convoluted bullshit, and then people have the fucking audacity to complain about menu diving in workstations. You have more menus on a fucking DAW than you do on anything else put together. Everything is a fucking menu. The menu bar in OS 10. I'm sorry, Mac OS. This isn't 2005 anymore. So now it's Mac OS. That's one menu. Actually, that's a whole host of fucking menus. Let's see. How many tabs do you have for menus? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 10 tabs, including the Apple logo. In Logic. And then you've got submenus. So if I go to bookmarks, let's say, on my computer. That's one. Let's try to find something where you've got the little arrows. Right here, developer. Do you know how many of those you have in Logic? How is that not menu diving? How? I can't for the life of me understand how this makes any fucking sense. A computer is not a musical instrument. It may be a production environment, sure, but it is anything but a musical instrument. Let's keep going.
Some of y'all feel like, hey, I paid for them, so I own them. No, you don't.
No, you don't. That's absolutely true.
For them, just letting you use these plugins because if you actually owned it, or every time you put it on a new computer, you can only use a certain amount. Like
Yep.
you can have like a product, but maybe it only goes on 5 computers because that's what you're authorized to use. You're only authorized to use this certain product on 2 separate computers, or sometimes 1 computer system, or sometimes 5. Now, some of them they might let you do whatever because they just give you 1 file and you can just go ahead and use it like that. But that's for the companies who they're not really trying to crack down and make it too hard for people to use their products. But yes, you're only being allowed to use those products.
You're renting the software.
It is convenient. It's cheaper. Instead of you paying $5,000 for a workstation, you can pay $500 and get more sounds, and you can do more stuff inside of the box with those sounds.
Yeah.
Or you can go ahead and buy you a whole suite. Like you can get the Fab Filter suite, crazy effects and stuff, plugins that you can use. There's a whole bunch of other suites out there as well. Arteria has some really good stuff as well. You got, all the major players, Universal Audio, they have some great stuff. All of that stuff right there is convenient, sounds good, but you don't fully own it. You don't.
No, you don't.
Like even some of these, faces. Over time, if your computer can't keep up, well, not your computer, but over time, if your audio interface can't keep up with your computer, then that audio interface becomes obsolete. So that's why you would have to, in some of these audio interfaces, you have to keep certain computers or buy components for the audio interface to even work. Like people don't even use FireWire anymore, which that was like the fast stuff back then.
Yeah, it was. I remember that.
They can become obsolete and you're done, even though you own them. But if the software that they're licensing to you doesn't work, then the interface is obsolete. So you have to just use an older computer or something. But if you buy a tape machine or reel-to-reel or whatever, you own that. All you simply have to do is buy the tape, run it through, and then you have a whole analog setup, and you can continue to use that forever because there's no updates or upgrades. The only thing you have to update is the tape. Hey, same thing. Hey, it's your whole musical life through rent. That's all you're pretty much doing is renting.
Yeah, renting. Yeah, exactly.
Some people say rent to own, but if
it's not even rent to own,
it's so far advanced than what you already have, then you won't be able to use it. So that's why a lot of times now, if you catch me on any of these music sites where you can purchase stuff or whatever, Reverb or Sounds.com, or Guitar Center, I'm always looking for hardware devices because I'm getting to the point right now where even though the plugins are very convenient, and yes, I can buy, I can stack up multiple, compressors and everything like that. To me right now, ownership is starting to become a real thing. And what I want to say too is, even though I want to start owning more hardware gear, I want to be smart and not just buy up everything just because it's cheap or whatever, even though, even some of the cheapest hardware sounds better than some of these plugins.
Well, you
but
think?
I get stuff that
you think?
Be about purchasing something that I know will be great for me for a very long time. So I'm very meticulous, even when I get stuff from people, even though it might come to me sometimes for free, because I do a lot of testing out and stuff like that on my main channel. A lot of that stuff I sometimes keep, sometimes I don't keep. But when I usually do like a video for it, it's actually a really good product. And sometimes it'll stay in my system, sometimes it won't. But I only kind of do videos if I really like it. And sometimes it might not work for me in the long run, but I still want to put it out there for people if I really like it, because I can pretty much review just about everything out here. But I don't want to bombard people with too much just slop out there. I don't want too much, hardware slop out there, because people will try to get you to buy some stuff that's really.
Let me correct you there. For me personally, there's no such thing as hardware slop. There really isn't. There's some pretty crappy gear out there. That's true. But I wouldn't call it slop. At the very least, you own it. At the very least, it's physical. If you buy a keyboard, of underrated synth or what have you, and, you buy a workstation even, and, and it doesn't do what you want it to do, I wouldn't call that slop. It just doesn't fit your needs. And that's a pretty strong fucking term. There's no such thing as hardware slop for me. Now, you want to talk about plugin slop? That's the world we live in today. Because honestly, in these days, you never know when a company's going to go under and the server is gone and the product turns into fucking vaporware. It's not even a product. It's a piece of software that works in your DAW. And that you're never really going to truly own the way you can own the hardware.
It's not that good, but if I put something on there, I truly believe that it can really help you out, even though sometimes it's actually very expensive. But
let me make another point too. What's the fucking point of making a video on a said plugin if you don't know when the fuck it's going to go into? What's the fucking point? I would never make a video on a plugin. I don't even use plugins, so go figure. After that experience with Logic, I'm fucking done. I've tried more modern DAWs, just to be clear. I have. I'm done. They're too convoluted. I have Logic on my 2014 MacBook Pro. I never use it because I don't want to use it. I don't see the fucking point. The fact that I have to take my Triton massive 88 key workstation, plug the USB into it. God knows if the USB is even going to work. If it isn't class compliant, I have to install the fucking driver for it. Really? What's the fucking point then? My Juno G, same thing. In fact, I tried to get the editor for my Juno G onto this 2014 MacBook Pro 15-inch. It's not going to work. The operating system is too new. But as a self-contained workstation, it's irreplaceable. The immediacy is irreplaceable. I'd rather spend my time learning how to use that to its fullest extent than fucking Logic or any fucking DAW for that matter. because it's so much more fun. It is, there's nothing like sitting down as a keyboard, especially if you play as well as you do. And I play really, really well. There's zero fucking replacement for that. There's zero replacement for that. I want to cater to people who actually fucking play, who want more self-contained instruments instead of being production or first or performance first. I want playability first, and then production, and then performance. Everything's so production performance oriented these days. It's really fucking ludicrous.
I'm getting to the age right now where I really want to own hardware because you never know what could happen in the future. And I want to have something that is fail
I
safe.
need a drink.
Hardware does break. It does break, but that's why you learn how to fix things. Like I had to fix my monitor controller this morning. I fixed it myself. Like I went into some of my other units. I fixed that, fixed the volume knobs. It was kind of scratchy a little bit, so I had to spray some of that contact spray in there and just clean some stuff out. But, hey, at the end of the day, I own it. I don't have to do any upgrades to it. I don't have to buy anything else for it. Now, all I have to do is just do a little bit of maintenance on it every once in a while. And things still work very well. So I want to hear you guys' take on this. Are you guys at the point right now where you're like, hey, hardware is cool. I know you're owning everything, but it's just much more convenient to work with plugins. And even though I know that I'm going to have to do a few upgrades every single year or every other couple of years, I'm cool with that. Or are you truly about having ownership with your gear and knowing that regardless of what happens out here in the world, as long as you can plug in to some type of electrical outlet or whatever, you can create at some type of capacity. Okay? So I want you guys to let me know in the comment section how you feel about this. And, me right now, of course, I'm using plugins and stuff like that. There's some really good plugins and stuff. There's some really good companies that are making some good stuff and they're giving you some lifetime free updates or whatever. But at the end of the day, if that company decides to fold in 15, 20 years, you're kind of just stuck with that and you won't be able to use it. But, I'm very much into getting more hardware right now.
Yeah.
And learning how to use it more and more in my setup so I can continue to create for years to come.
Yeah.
And, some of you guys are like, hey, I have that, but I just want to just use the plugin. If they sound good, I can get them sounding the way I want to sound, I'm good to go. So y'all let me know in the comment section how.
What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I am one guy fighting hard with everything I've got to bring back 2005 for the modern era. How is it that the computer and the DAW and the MPC are the only things available with the type of production capability? Why can't we have both a real physical musical instrument and a production environment embedded in the instrument itself? Fuck the expense. The expense doesn't fucking matter. The existence of it does. It doesn't exist right now. So let me say it one more fucking time for those in the back. Not everybody wants to use a fucking computer. And I'm seeing it every fucking day from the Dulles community on Reddit and the synthesizer community on Reddit, the two largest communities for music production on Reddit that I've seen in terms of hardware goes. Every day I'm seeing people wanting to get away from the DAW on the computer. And no, the iPad isn't a solution either. That's still an external fucking device connected to your, you know, keyboard or whatever. No, that's not a solution either. I don't know what more to say. I really don't. I'm out.